At this point in the disassembly, you've broken the motor down and separated it into its four basic components. The armature, which also includes the commutator, the chassis, which also includes the four wheels and axles, of course, the brush bracket assembly, which is there in the background, right here, and then way in the background is the field clamp and the field itself, with two wires, or at least one, maybe two going to it, a couple of wires going to this one, but this one is free. So that's the four major components that you'll be cleaning and replenishing so that they can be reassembled. First, let's remove the armature and just set it aside for just a moment, because there are four items in this chassis that you'll want to look for before you do anything else. Now let me back that up just a minute and let you know what I've done so far. I've scraped down the interior of these gearboxes with nothing more than a X-Acto knife. Anything will work. Even pipe cleaners would work, but I find this works best for me because I want to remove all that excess oil prior to using more expensive solvents or tools to get to removing the grease. So I used the X-Acto knife and removed all of this grease from those wells, including a couple of chunks of what looks to be carpet fiber right there. There's one, and then there was another one somewhere in this general vicinity. It looked very similar to that. I think that's it right there. You can see the fibers. Those to me look like carpet fibers. Now, I've cleaned out axles and motors that literally were wrapped in human hair, but this does not look to be the case. These seem to be just carpet fiber. They were both around the axles and bonded to the grease inside of these gearboxes, and you don't want that. So again, so far only a scrape down has been used to get it this clean, or to this point. And you can see right here where the carbon dust has been deposited from the commutator and the brushes. Next up will be washing to remove again the next layer of grease before going to a more expensive solvent to clean, and then wiping down with alcohol, then AutoZone brake cleaner to blast inside of these areas to get them really clean, another wipe down, probably another washing, and another wipe down with rubbing alcohol. All of that to get rid of all this excess grease. But before you go to any of those washing steps, I want to point out four items. These four items you need to account for and possibly get out of the way. Two of them are fairly simple to find and remove. In this opening here and this one, you might find an oil wick, a little cloth, round cloth oil wick. They can be removed. What they were intended to do is to put oil into these holes. And how, you might say? Well, remember on the bottom of the truck and collector assembly, there's instructions to drop oil in those two holes. And that oil theoretically was to go then be picked up by these wicks and then be transported up to this location, this location here and here, which are directly beneath the armature's shaft and its bushings, which are right here. Now, how that oil was to have gotten from the exterior of that bushing to between the bushing and the axle or the shaft of the armature is beyond me. It's to lubricate the axle, the shaft spinning inside the bushing, with the bushing being held down by the bearing straps, or the bearings being held down by the bearing straps in place, and then to lubricate there. I think what happened many times is that continuing to put oil in there, of course, did no good. Oil leaked out the bottom, or there was so much oil that some of it got slung on the commutator right here. So all that being said, before you go any further with washing or anything else, just take something like a pen, straight pen, or even a paper clip, push those oil wicks out, grab them on the bottom or from the other side, whichever way, with tweezers, just put them out and set them aside. Maybe set them in a paper towel so that you can soak off some of that excess oil. The next thing are two more important items, and they're located right here at the back of each gearbox. There'll be one on the other side in the same location. These are thrust plates, and I think they're made out of plastic. And I'll explain their purpose in just a moment. They're simply pushed down in this little socket or grooves, and they can easily, once you start cleaning, fall out and be very difficult to find, but they're extremely important. So there's one there, and there's one right there. They almost look like a little keystone shaped emblem. Now, if and when the armature is resting in the chassis, when you change directions, the armature is going to thrust from one end to the other. You notice that when I change direction, it moves a little bit left to right when the gears remesh, because they're not so tight that this can't move a little bit, which is a good thing. And when that shaft or that armature moves, it collides with that thrust plate right there. It keeps the post or axle on the armature from colliding with metal, so it prevents a metal on metal rubbing and collision, which eventually, I think theoretically, could cause this to move even further. They're very important. You don't want to lose those. I would recommend, before you go to any type of washing or anything beyond just scraping these clean, is to get some tweezers and just remove those.